unto the I am our strength. Make a joyful noise unto the God of Jacob. Take a psalm, bring hither the trembling, the pleasant heart with the psaltery. Blow the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. For this was a salute for Israel and a law of the God of Jacob. This he ordained in Joseph for a testimony when he went out through the land of Egypt, where I heard a language that I understood not. I removed the shoulder from the burden, and his hands were delivered from the pots. Thou callest in trouble, and I delivered thee. I answered thee in the secret place under thunder. I proved thee in the waters of Meribah, Selah. Hear, O my people, I will testify unto thee, O Israel, if thou wilt hearken unto me. There shall no strange God be in thee, neither shall thou worship any strange God. I am thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt. Open thy mouth wide, and I will fill it, but my people will not hearken to my voice, and Israel will none of me. So I gave them up to their own hearts, lusts they walked in their own counsel. Oh, that my people had hearkened unto me, and Israel had walked in my ways. I should soon have subdued their enemies and turned my hand against their adversaries. The haters of the I am should have submitted themselves unto him, but their time should have endured forever. He should have fed them also with the finest of wheat and with honey out of the rock. Should I have satisfied thee? Yes, Psalms chapter 81. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits who have swayed over the thoughts of men's hearts, and let them not lead me astray from thee, O God. Establish me in my seed, that we go not astray henceforth and forevermore. Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20. Yes, all praises be to the Most High. Yes, our God reigns, our God reigns, our God reigns. Even he who even gave water to the ancestors out of the rock. Yes, our God reigns. And also we say that, we thank God for those of you, yes, who've been with us from the beginning, and those of you who have been with us here and there's about, and those of you who have just subscribed, and those of you who are about to subscribe, calling those things that are not as though they are. Yes, and we praise God for everything. Yes, and I thank God even I lost a tooth today. That's a problem of old age. That's all it is, nothing. But thank God for even noticing that I didn't swallow the tooth. That's why I said thank God for it. But as I age, I call on God and to just help me to age the way that I should age and eat the right things and just leave this earth gracefully. Yes. Because from birth we grow and then we get to a certain point where we grow no more, and we're just really maintaining, more than 35, 40, 50, somewhere in there, and then the body starts. Some people maintain longer than that. They have their strength well into their 80s and 90s, even 100. Still can lift heavy burdens and do feats that even the young can do, but very few. And I basically base it on our diets. Me, myself, as far as my teeth, yes. As a young man, and stripping wires and biting things that I shouldn't bite, and sugar and all manner of other things. So I expect such things to happen, and feelings that have been in there so long and they finally fell out, and many of us can concur and think about stuff like that. Now, he says, now we're in the book of 2 Kings chapter 4. Yes, 2 Kings chapter 4. Yes, and also I like that Dr. Ariana. When I see her, I think of Psalms chapter 31. Yes. I mean, there are many women that portray that Psalms, but this is one that just stands out because she's on social media and and other medias, and the way she conducts herself as a woman and the way she honors her husband. that stands out. That stands out a whole lot, and that makes me admire that she has chosen the life of a true, in other words, a woman sort of like to me that would be Deborah. No, she doesn't prophesy or nothing like that, but she tells a great truth. And she's not bossy. Very feminine woman, even at her age, at the age she is now, which I do not know. But either way, and I'm sure her husband is proud of her. Very, very proud, and honors her with all the honor that he can give, a man can give a wife. But nevertheless, I see the problems that she thinks about Africa as being her children. As a woman that nurtures, I can see, and others that think about that too, the fathers of Africa. To think about that this is a land that have been so put under for such a long time. I mean, even the mindset of the people have been, it's been under, you can almost say it was a colonial MK Ultra, to where people's mindset are just, some of them are so gone they can't see things any other way. Even to the point where religion, or should I say this Christianity, has so marred the minds, not only in Africa, but all over the world, even before it even hit Africa. Just the twistedness of control. Even in his book, Dr. Bernstein describes the quest for control in the Roman Empire and the Grecian Empire. They tried to use Egyptology to control. I mean, this is not me talking. You can read this book called The Discoverers. The quest for control of the people. They took the things of Africa. Yes. And as they conquered even Egypt, they took the books and they began to make the gods of the Egyptians into the gods of... Now, this was a setup. This was working through circumstance. This is Deuteronomy 28, working through circumstance. And so they began to experiment. At first, people were practicing this paganism of Egyptology and everything, and they didn't like it, according to or should I say, the book, The Discoverer, by Dr. Daniel Bernstein, or Daniel Bornstein. Yes, a Jewish man. Yes, a Jewish man. And he talked about, the fact is, in other words, when I say Jewish, they practice the religion of the government. They made the government of Israel a religion. See, this is what we're talking about. This book that we read is about the government. It's like reading the law books. If you go to the law books in your local library or go somewhere where you can study the law, even as you study the Constitution of the United States, it's the same as studying the Bible, because you're studying the likes and dislikes of your government. And this is the same thing with the Bible. So many of you have lost it. This is why I say the New Testament is no good. It's nil and void. It's a lie. Very, very crafted lie. But God knows how to bring those things to light. Even in your hearing, God has brought those things to light. We're still under the law of the Most High, the government of heaven. Yes. And many times He would send people to correct the people. And the same thing with governments these days. The feds will send people to correct people in different states. The states will send people to correct people in cities. You have to look at this thing. You see it the wrong way. Open your eyes. We're under a government. And this government is not of this world. It's not of mankind. Man cannot rule man, because he has his own evils and demons that he has, and desires that are not good for the majority or the people. Selfishness. But the fact is that today we study the laws. We know we can't, part of the laws of the Most High, we cannot keep. If we can give a sacrifice, yes, it's good. If I get the first of my fruit and my crops, I wave them before the Most High. I just stand up and just wave them. There's no other way I can do it. I just wave them and say, thank you. Being thankful for whatever, I had some sweet potatoes I harvested just the other day. I just waved the first fruit of them in the air and said, thank you. I did some collard greens like that one time and they never stopped growing. But all praises to the Most High. Yes, and they're still growing this day. Today they're growing. Some of them I plucked out. They would grow anyway because you pluck some off or whatever. They're still growing though. My garden has been pretty bad at one time, and it's just really getting back. Plus, I didn't have time to really maintain a garden also. But now I know to thank God for the first fruits of your harvest. Even money as you labor to bring things in for your home. Yes, you first get that check, or you see that bank account that you had your direct deposit in, or you get a dividend from your stocks or whatever. You look up and thank God for your first glance. Just look up and thank the Most High for what He has done. Guarantee you it'll increase. It will increase. He doesn't tell you. See, God deals with your heart when you're dealing with the poor and needy and those things. That is something totally different. That's showing I'm thankful. But the fact is, they're there. Some people are made that way. Probably no fault of their own. To try you. You that have become successful. You that have the people love and dance and pop to, or those. And then he try you even with religious deceivers. He try you to see whether you love him or not. Do you understand what you read in the Bible? Because you understand most Christianity, anything that has to deal with money, they will go all over the Old Testament. Money or your submission and all these things. God have appointed different folks for that. The Levitical priest, the givers of the law, the judges. He appointed captains of thousands, captains of tens of thousands, and up to the high priest. Well, the high priest is supposed to minister unto the Most High and know the law at the same time. Not being like having a senate, just like the Romans. See, this is what happens, as far as I understand, in the time of the New Testament. They talk about, you're talking about a senate and a house and all these, the Sanhedrin, and who's the president? King? I mean, it's a joke. These things were not of God. These things were not from the beginning. Yes, things evolve, but the fact is, not by man should they evolve. Because who is God? He's so meek and but yet he's stern. God will delete you, man. He will take you out. And you will not even know it's him. You will not know it is because of your sin. It could be someone close to you. It could be someone just you. It could be a daughter. It could be a loved one. It could be a grandma or something. You, before their time. Now, they're 90 and 100 years old now. Don't start jumping off the brick wall because of that. Because their time is up. Moses didn't live but 120 years now. Come on. You're not going to live that long. Especially if it's not for a special reason before the Most High. Now, but notice the government of heaven. You hear the Christians talk about that, but they don't understand it. This is what this was about. Oh, times have evolved. We got to know the law, statutes, commandments, and ordinances of the Most High will always be in tune with the times, no matter how much you can have robots and everything you want to have, but still it stands. Even that universal law, how we should treat our neighbor, or not neighbor, but how we should treat each other. Yes, it's there. Now, I digress. Now, anyway, let's get into 2 Kings chapter 4. Now there cried a woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets unto Elisha, saying, Thy servant my husband is dead. And thou knowest that thy servant did fear the I am, and the creditor is come to take unto him my 2 sons to be bondmen. Her husband is dead. He had to borrow money. He had to get money to feed himself and maybe plant seed or whatever, or however he did it. But it came out he died, and back then they didn't have no type of insurance. Only insurance you had is you paid off your debts, if you had any, so that you wouldn't have none at the time of your death. That's why many times as you reach your age and you're just a normal working person, best to stop buying things and start shedding off debt. Get to a certain age, you feel like, I need to start shedding. Shed off the debt. Stop being so greedy. You have people 70 and 80 years old still working their fingers to the bone for nothing. For truly nothing. Children will not even stand up to them or to feed them, as even Isaac did his mother and father in the time that he was living. Even Jacob and Esau fed their parents. With Esau, with his crafty self, he even helped his parents. But the fact is that your elders, you have to watch for your elders, especially your mother and father. Even your grandmother, your grandfather. No, they're not your ideal people, but you are here. If you have an education, you have your education. Why should you have a certain thing now? The child should support their family or their mother and father. Have I? Yes, I have. I have supported my mother. I did not know my father at the time. Yes, I did. But then it's such a burden when a parent has 3, 4, 5, 6 children and none of them have any means to support, but they all come to the parent all the time like begging chicks still in the nest. This ought not to be. This is not in the New Testament. This is not in the Old Testament. It's not there. Come on. Let us continue. And Elisha said unto her, What shall I do for thee? Tell me, hast thou in the house? And she said, Thy handmaid has not anything in the house, save a pot of oil. Then he said, Go borrow thee vessels abroad of all thy neighbors, and empty vessels borrow not a few. And when thou come in, thou shalt shut the door upon thee and upon thy sons, and shalt pour into all those vessels, and shalt set aside that which is full. She had to obey the commandment, the instructions that the prophet received from the Most High, in order that she might come out of debt. God has instructions for you to come out of debt. He does. Don't lend to your brother by usury, or to the children of Jacob with usury. He has other means for you to come out of debt. Pay your bills. Some of us, we get in debt because we lost our jobs, but that's by design, especially the sons of Jacob. By design. In the day they know you lose your job, it's one thing if the whole company falls under, everybody lose their jobs, but the day you lose your job and you haven't done anything wrong because of some biasness or whatever have you, and it's by design. You don't pay, as I said before, you don't pay Social Security tax, you don't pay nothing. There's nothing you given. You might be out for a few months or so. And if you're getting up of age, this will block you. This will block you from getting a certain amount from what even this country and some other countries have concocted as Social Security, or their version of Social Security. And this is one reason they know about this. Cops come and they arrest you for no reason at all and all these other things, and you're missing out on work, you're missing out on things, and then they say, I'm sorry, it's time to get a lawyer, man. Don't start interrupting the life of a person that haven't done nothing to you. See, they know they're disrupting your livelihood. They know and you can be on your way to work, having nothing in your car that's paraphernalia, but yet you look suspicious because you're black, or you look like a child of Jacob. You look African. Or you look like you somebody that can steal. That is no reason at all. Have 5 and 6 units out there talking about nothing. For this, the wrath of the Most High is coming upon many people and their families. Oh, you think you're getting by. Your children wonder, why has this come upon me? Look at your parents. Let us continue, because I can keep ranting on, I tell you. So she obeyed the man of God, and so she went in from him and shut the door. She obeyed the instructions. This is what we're talking about. And she said unto her son, bring me a vessel. And he said unto her, there is not a vessel, in verse 6, and more. And the oil stayed. And she came and told the man of God and said, go sell the oil and pay thy debt and live thou and thy children. You got something left over, okay? And it fell on that day Elijah passed from Shunem. There's a place called Shunem. The people were called Shunamites. And there was a great woman, and she constrained him to eat bread. And so it was that as oft as he passed by, and he turned in thither to eat bread. And you know, I find out there are people that would invite. There's a time I would go out and, you know, talk to different people in different neighborhoods and stuff. I noticed one, should I say, public housing area that I was in. It was this old lady. She was retired, and I was a young man in my 20s. But the fact was, she said, look, young man, I don't want to be put in no assisted living home as we know it today. And my strength is failing. I can't hardly. All I want to do is get around, clean my house, you know, maintain what I can in my house, and have this strength. Can you talk to God for me for this? I said, you'll have your strength. Knowing God speaking, you got to speak. And we prayed. Come back the next week, because we was going through every weekend. She waving in the screen, though, just waving. I don't know how old that lady was, but she was waving. Hey, look at what God has done for me. This woman had really done, God had really blessed her, because she was believing in what we were doing at that time. She was believing on the Most High. We didn't even say no Jesus, really, although we were Christians at that time. Yes, we call ourselves Christians. I don't know, I started seeing some things that I didn't, you know, I sort of kept, I had things in the back of my mind I knew that was not right. But let us continue. I digress. I can keep ranting on. And it fell on that day. He went to Shunem, of which the Shunamites were native of. And there was a great woman, and she constrained him to eat bread. As it was so, as oft as he passed by, he turned in thither to eat bread. And she said unto her husband, behold, now I perceive that this is a holy man of God, which passes by us continually. Sometimes you being a man of God, many times, most of the time, you being a man of God, God will not give you you will be what they call in today 304s, a high value. You'll be called a broke man. Broke. But yet you're rich. And you make many rich. You cause many to prosper, to get what they need. Even David in this Psalm says, if you give me too little, I'm going to take your name, I'm going to curse you. And if you give me too much, I'm going to take your name in vain. But he was saying, give me what I need. Give me what I need, God. That's what I need. And some of us, we become greedy. I mean, to eat and drink and have times together here and there in life. maybe travel. That's good. You have to learn to be content with wherever you're at in life. To be content until God gives you more. You work hard, yes, you work hard, but not to the point where you forsake you're chasing after your ambitions. But you work hard that your ambitions may come or may chase you. Now it turned into, and it fell on the day that he came thither in verse 11, and turned unto the chamber and lay there. And he said unto Gehazi thy servant, call this Shunammite. And then he had called her, and he stood before him. And he said unto him, say thou. And he said unto him, say thou now unto her, behold, thou hast been careful for us with all this care. In other words, there was a time where a real true man of God would be honored by people. They would. This thing is, even here in the U.S., there were many men of God that walked the streets, and people would feed them and do things. But it doesn't happen today. The days have become even more evil. Yes. Now it says, now what is to be done for thee? Wouldst thou be spoken for to the king or to the captain of host? And she answered, I dwell among my own people. Okay. And he said, then what is to be done for her? And Gehazi answered, verily she has no child. Her husband is old. And he said, call her. And when he had called her, she stood in the door. And he said, about this season, according to the time of life, thou shalt embrace a son. And she said, nay, my prophet, thou man of God, do not lie unto thy handmaid. In other words, he's saying that God gonna revive some things that are gone. This man ain't gonna need Viagra, because he's gonna bring back or revive those things that the man has lost. Doesn't need any type of male enhancement or help, because I'm gonna do this. You're gonna have a son. She said, oh, this man too old, he can't do nothing. And even as Sarah said, I can't, I don't know. Okay? And the woman conceived and bare a son. In other words, some type of spark flew between them, and God did something. And at that season, Elisha said unto her son, according to the time of life. And when the child was grown, it fell on a day that he went out to his father to the reapers. Now, this is a span of time. How grown was the child? I have no idea. And he said unto his father, my head, my head. And he said to a lad, carry him to his mother. He was a teenager, apparently. And when he had taken him and brought him to his mother, he sat on her knees till noon and then died. And she went up and laid him on the bed of the man of God, where he come in to spend the night. Her husband had no problem with it, and he had no problem with it. And shut the door upon him and went out. And she called unto her husband and said, send me, I pray thee, one of the young men and one of the asses, that I might run to the man of God and come again. And he said, wherefore wilt thou go to him today? It is neither new moon nor Sabbath. So there was a time where people would visit the prophet to inquire of the Most High, either on the new moon or once in the first of the month, or the seventh day of the month, the Sabbath. And she said, it shall be well. Verse 24. And she sat on an ass and said to her servant, drive and go forward. Slack not thy riding for me, except I bid thee. In other words, she said, hey, God is with this man, and I'm going to see and ask God to do something for me through this man. In other words, God was using God. He was like an angel of the Most High, an angel, a messenger, a man of God and the Spirit of God, which we call angels, spirits of the Most High, spirits of God. God is a spirit, but there are spirits that God have created that minister unto men, and there are spirits that God have created that minister unto the Most High. Let's get it right and call it a book. And she saddled an ass and said to her servant, drive and go forward. And verse 25, and she came unto the man of God unto Mount Carmel. And it came to pass, when the man of God saw her far off, that he said to Gehazi his servant, behold yonder, is that Shunammite. And women, once a woman has a child, she totally changes. Now, if she has a good heart from that point on, she's going to do whatever it is for her husband and for her children. She has a more keener sense of observing things once she has have a child. And some manufacturers notice this. If she's married, she's more attention to details. This child's sick. What's wrong with this child? This child needs this, or this child's head messed up, or he's doing something he ain't got no. She's always checking. Now, run now, I pray thee, to meet her, and say unto her, Is it well with thee? Is it well with thy husband? Is it well with the child? And she answered, It is well. And when she came to the man of God to the hill, and she caught him by the feet, but Gehazi came near to thrust her away. And the man of God said, Let her alone, for her soul is troubled or vexed within her. And the I am had hid it from me. In other words, he didn't tell him about that. And hath not told me. And then she said, Did I desire a son of my prophet? Did I not say, Do not deceive me? And he said to Gehazi, Gird up thy loins, and take my staff in thine hand, and go thy way. If thou meet any man, salute him not. And if any salute thee, answer him not again, and lay my staff upon the face of the child. Sometimes God will tell a man of God not to do that. He told one to go in this way, but you don't go out the same way you came in. You go a different way. There was a reason behind that. And the mother of the child says, As the I am liveth, as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. And he arose and followed her. And Gehazi passed on before him, and laid the staff upon the face of the child. But there was neither voice nor hearing. Wherefore he went again to meet him, and told him, saying, The child is not awake. And when Elisha was come into the house, behold, the child was dead. In other words, spirit separated from the body, and laid upon his bed. And he went therefore and shut the door upon him twain, and prayed unto the I am. This is the second account. This is he had done some feed two people, and now God is about to raise the dead using Elisha. And he went up and laid upon the child, and put his mouth upon his mouth, his eyes upon his eyes, and hands upon his hands, and stretched himself upon the child, and the flesh of the child waxed warm. In other words, I'm going to warm this blood up, and I'm going to make sure I get this child real warm. Okay, my face on, the warmth on my face hit your face, child. Come on, child, get up. Just get up, child. And he called Gehazi and called this Shunammite. So he called her, and when she was coming to the room, he said, Take up thy son. But the matriarchal New Testament, Jesus said, Take up thy daughter. Okay. It seems like this New Testament has really turned things which were fighting against the Most High since the beginning, and that was these spirits trying to turn God into a matriarchal entity. Blasphemy. It's very much blasphemy. Because the spirit behind Eve was the one who was trying to be equal with God. She wasn't given the authority to even do that. It was Adam. The only thing that got Adam was that he loved the woman too much. Didn't know enough to sit up there and say no. What would God have done after that? Mankind didn't fall. Mankind didn't come under a curse until Adam consented unto the woman. This is the spirit behind this. To turn man backwards, using the very thing that he desired, that God felt God knew that it was not good for him to be alone in that area. But nevertheless, I'm going to try to finish this. I don't know if we're going to do it, but either way, And Gehazi called this Shunammite. So he took her up and says, take up thy son. And when he went in and fell at his feet, he bowed himself to the ground and took up her son and went out. And Elisha came to Gilgal, and there was dearth in the land, and the sons of the prophet were sitting before him. And he said unto his servant, set on the great pot and seed pottage for the sons of the prophets. Look at how God is using this man. And one went out into the field to gather herbs and found a wild vine. You know, this was a poisonous vine here. He didn't know what it was, and gathered thereof the wild gourds, his lap full. In other words, tucking it in his coat or his blanket or whatever he had, and shred them into the pottage, for they knew them not. You know, these were things that they just throwed into the pot for no reason at all, because they were hungry. So they poured out for the man to eat. And it came to pass, as they were eating of the pottage, they cried out, O thou man of the Most High, there is dearth in the pot, and they could not eat thereof. They could not eat thereof. These were what they call prophets. One who proclaims, one who foretells. Were they all seers? No. They were prophets. To prophesy. They studied even from the Levites to understand God. But he said, bring meal. What, cornmeal, it could be meal of barley or whatever. And he cast it into the pot, and he said, but he received this of the commandment of the I am. Because I believe they put this stuff in the pot. It was very bitter, because right here it just tells us they didn't know what they were just gathering stuff and just making a broth or a stew or something of roots and different things and leaves, not knowing what they were doing. But the Most High just commanded him and said, and he told them, bring some meal, and said, pour out for the people, and that they may eat, and there was no harm in the pot. And it came, and then there came a man of Balashalisha, and brought the man of God bread of first fruits. In other words, the first fruit of his harvest. He gave him to a man that was used by God. 20 loaves of barley full of ears and corns in the husk. And he said, give unto the people that they may eat. See how God is? You don't know where God is a spirit. You don't even know where his blessings are coming from. You really don't. And the servitor said, what should I set this before 100 men? He said again, give the people that they may eat, for thus saith the I am, they shall eat and shall leave thereof. Oh, so here it is, Elijah fed quite a bit of people, just like your Easter's fed 144,000 or 5,000 of the people. Wow, isn't that something? So he said it before them, and they did eat and left thereof, according to the word of the I am. God instructed this man. God instructed him. He did miracles, and others have done miracles throughout the Old Testament, where they try to deceive you into this idolary Jesus and Yahushua and Yahusha. Am I bashing him? Yes, I am. Because the fact is, it's an idolatrous. It's an idolatrous belief system. Although it seems pious and gracious and has some commandments in it and all that stuff, it's idolatrous. Period. And not of the Most High. Now, if we keep those things that he have committed unto us and that our ancestors and those we aspire to even be in his presence one day, we have to keep his commandments, statutes, ordinances, and laws as he present them to us. And then we will certainly have peace.
Walk with me.